Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alissa and Katy, and we are two top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for two different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths. Hi, it is, this is episode 41, and it is When Life Throws You a Curveball.
What do you do?
What do you do? I think that we had consistency in the original title. So there will be a little bit of talk of how do you survive consistently during a curveball.
Right.
Okay.
Because we did an episode on consistency in your business.
Yeah.
If you need a refresher on that one, go check out episode 19.
Yes.
And this will piggyback on that a little bit, but also give you some more specific tools that you can use. And we're also going to talk about some of the curveballs that you could get as an entrepreneur.
Yes. And you got real jazzed about this in last week's recording. So people who listen to the bare necessities should be interested in what you've got to say. You were getting real excited.
I have good notes.
Perfect. What you got?
Oh, well, I think we should start off with your list of potential curveballs that could happen.
I got you, girl.
What are we even talking about right now?
Well, when you think about, I think this really spawned out of our current situation. We are recording on April 20th, and we are still in quarantine, involved in a global pandemic. So I think that's a serious curveball, right?
Yeah, I haven't even gotten to record in your house in weeks.
I know. So I think any sort of economic crash, a market issue, so any sort of global emergency, even where we are, we have hurricanes or things that throw you off, act of God. So I think those are curveballs for sure. You don't even see some of that stuff coming. So a weather-related issue, obviously a pandemic, something that you couldn't have even possibly thought was going to happen. Babies, kids, sickness for you, sickness for your kids, sickness for a parent, obviously death, summer breaks, school breaks. I mean, anything that's going to throw
curveballs,
anything that's going to throw off your schedule pretty much is going to be a curveball, right?
Yeah.
So anything that's going to affect your routine or affect your mindset, even a mental health issue like depression or just anything that you weren't prepared for, or whether you knew it was coming or not, just something that's going to throw off your system, your routine.
Yeah. So today we're talking about how to get through these things while still having a business.
Yeah.
And I think that this is especially important for the solo agents out there. The only time I sometimes wish I had a team is when something like this happens, or when I want to take a vacation and not bring my phone.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
There are ways that you can prepare for things and the way that you run your business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think what we were talking about last week, sometimes you have to pare back to the bare necessities when you're dealing with a curveball. So just start from the basics, remove as much fluff as you can. And sometimes when things come to a screeching halt, if you're sick, you need to just have a backup plan, a plan B. Who is your support system? Where are you going to send those buyer or seller requests? What if you had a closing scheduled or something that you needed to be present for? Whether or not you're on a team, you really need to find a partner who is willing to trade that service with you. So if they have an issue or emergency, or if you have an issue or emergency, who there's to be a human to help you.
Yeah, that's why I think your office is so important. Who do you have in your office? And I just love my office so much.
I know.
If it's a smaller office and, maybe you don't really know the other agents, your broker, are they willing to help you out? So having those relationships for when something comes up, that you have someone that you can call.
I think this is probably a conversation that you need to have when you choose a broker or with your current broker, and just say, hey, listen, what are my options if I'm in an emergency? Who's going to handle it? Because I know some people, when they're new, big or small office, are not comfortable with all the agents there at first. So they don't know someone closely enough to walk up to them and be like, hey, if I get sick tomorrow, can you help me out? I mean, like, I think that's, you take it straight to your broker. Just say, hey, listen, what is the process for an emergency or a sickness? Or like, if I need help, who do I go to? Who's going to help me? And I promise you, your broker wants you to succeed because that's their success.
Right.
So I think that's the best place to start with that. This also states a case for not being a one-man show, like an actual broker owner. It's just you.
Yeah, that's rough.
You might have all the money, but you also have all the responsibility.
Yeah, it's a lot to do.
I don't even know. I mean, for example, I've gotten a referral in the last year from an agent outside of our market, but nearby, who was handling a buyer here. And then her husband got sick and she could no longer make that hour drive to do the showings. And so she sent me the referral. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes it's what you got to do. Like, if there's no one in your office that can help you, you might end up having to refer out some business and just take whatever, 25%, 30%, whatever you can get. It's better than losing the client altogether. And sometimes you're not going to have a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when it's kind of knowing your limits and knowing what is going on in my life. Where am I in life? Where am I in my business right now? Where am I with my mental health, my physical health? Like, you have to know your capabilities. And my close friends know that when I was pregnant with Haven, which obviously we planned for Haven and we knew we'd have kids one day, but I was still terrified. And I thought that, you know, I was the main, you know, breadwinner of our household, and I just had a lot of anxiety about having a baby.
I did
what
too.
That was going to look like as a solo agent.
I know.
And for 9 months, I freaking planned and assigned people and asked people for help.
Right.
I tried to get everything as like clean and understandable as possible. And it didn't need all of that. It was not that bad at all. But that was something that I knew was coming that I could prepare for.
Yep.
And then even just like, let's see, I guess 2 years ago, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was like the busiest summer months, and she was having surgery and all these things. And I was just like, I want to be present for things. And like, I want to go sit with her at chemo and like and at that time, I didn't delegate things away.
Yeah.
I just stopped doing some of the extra fluff during that time. Like in our last episode, we talked about the bare necessities, and then we talked about the things that are just nice to have.
Yep.
And there are just some things that I said right now, this is not going to be a priority this summer.
Yep.
And honestly, it didn't really affect my income.
Right.
It didn't affect my volume.
Right.
To take a break from those things.
Yeah.
For a period of time.
Yeah. I mean, and look, it's nice that you were able to prepare for having a baby. I think that I did the same, like, you know, for the 9 months leading up to having a baby. Like, okay,
like, you know,
how do I prepare? Like, who's going to take over? I didn't have someone take over for a long time as far as physical in-person appointments, probably 2 to 4 weeks at most. And then I just sort of handled them and would have, you know, my mom or a family member would come watch the baby while I did my in-person appointments.
That's very similar to what I did.
But I guess, yes, you got to strip away all the fluff whenever you're dealing with something like that. And honestly, my business was impacted. I don't want to like lie to people and say, when I had a baby, all was well. I just like made it work. I think it dropped in half that 1 year. Yeah. I'm going to look up that's why I got my folder out. I want to look up the numbers for y'all. It was a big difference. So I also think people need to be realistic in that if you have something going on, it's very likely going to impact your income. It doesn't have to come to a halt, but you have to be maybe prepared. I think that's why having some money in reserves would be good. Like, it's and it's hard. I'm not like a super good financial planner, and I know you're a really good one. It's tough. Like, I think that we all are probably feeling that right now because of what's going on. Like, what if you're living, you know, close to close or paycheck to paycheck, and something outside of your control slows it down?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly something to evaluate. You know, how am I living my life?
Yep.
What if something happened
Yep.
that disrupted that? Would I be
Yeah.
able to afford my
Right.
lifestyle? Maybe I'm living above my means. Maybe I need to put more in savings.
Yeah.
But those are all things that you can do to prepare for a curveball.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to think too. Like I got my license in 2005. So 2006 here was great because of Hurricane Katrina and how things moved here. And then it's by 8 and 9 when we were having like serious issues, like with the, recession and everything, our business still stayed pretty consistent. But then we had like you were probably around by this time when the oil spill happened. That affected our business here. Like, so some things that some people are going to have to move regardless, and some people these things are going to affect it. Like economic conditions, if you lose your job, you're not going to buy a house.
No.
So, I mean, you got to kind of be prepared for anything at this point. Mm-hmm. Who knows what's going to happen?
Well, that's kind of what was funny about, like, say, this COVID outbreak. We didn't really know the quarantine was coming. It kind of all happened fairly quickly. And there was no preparation time. And I'll say for about a week, I was like in a funk. I didn't really do anything. I didn't know what to do. And then I realized, hey, you got to do something.
Got to do something.
You can't just be in a funk. And then I did, and everything was fine.
Yeah.
But like, you have to allow yourself some grace to realize the situation, absorb what's going on around you. And instead of doing things that are redundant, like actually taking the time to focus on the things that you need to do.
Yes. Oh my gosh, for sure. Don't spin your wheels on or like maybe that's the time you need to fire clients that are not good for you or they're sucking your time, they're never going to buy. Like now's the time to make those decisions. If you have to cut fluff, then cut the stuff that's taking too much time.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I think kids are a funny one because they're coming and
but like we can't prepare.
No, you can't prepare. You don't know. Are your kids going to need tubes? Are they going to get sick all the time? Like,
are they How expensive are we talking?
Right. Like you just have no idea. Are they going to be easy or good sleeper? Or are you going to be up all night and like you're miserable and you can't focus during the day because you didn't sleep? Like,
right.
Like there's just so much. And I had to laugh because I think the curveballs come in positive and negative ways to me. Like my kids went to school, like big school. And it was interesting because I got all this time back in the morning because they were going to school, like leaving the house at 7:10. But then I lost like the summer. It was just like, oh Lord, like these people are here all the time.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to do with this. So the transition from daycare to big school had great pros and huge cons. Like it's just, and I'm still not totally adjusted to that. But like like we said in a couple episodes ago, we were talking about routines are changing all the time. When you have kids, your routines are changing all the time. Like your kid is about to stop taking naps.
Right. Yeah.
Like as they get older, like it's just so crazy, but they're so sick when they're little, but when they're older, like my kids I'm knocking on wood, they're almost never sick now.
Yeah.
So like, it's really interesting. You have to just kind of weather those storms.
Well, you have to be flexible. You have to have the mindset that things are not always going to go in routine. And how do you react when things do not go the way you want them to go and your routine gets messed up?
Right. Well, you cannot be strict with your routine. Like you're going to have to be able to be flexible for sure.
And that's just real estate in general. That's even when there's no curveball.
That's what I was about to say. Because the seasonal part of it is like your routines are totally different, in the busy season than they are in the slower season. Yes.
Now, another thing to be careful about when a curveball comes is the comparison game will rear its ugly head like worse than ever.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're sitting at home with a newborn and you see someone else killing it and crushing it. Or maybe everyone is sitting at home because it's COVID and you see some agents doing really amazing, fantastic virtual posts and you're not. Or maybe it's like hurricane season and you're sitting at home not doing anything and some other realtor out there is doing some really great content and you're just like,
right,
man, I'm just not doing well. But you have to be really careful with your mindset during the curveball because what happens is people say, well, if I can't do one thing, I'm not doing anything.
That's the problem.
I quit. I just give up. They give themselves no grace.
Right.
And they give themselves no leeway to just deal with the situation the way that they need to.
Yep.
And they see what they think are other people doing this perfectly.
Yep.
And nobody's doing it perfectly.
No, and you don't need to do it perfectly. There's no one is going to come check you to make sure that you did it all. But if you just shut down, I think that's what happens. If you're in a curveball and you just shut down, then you can't expect that your business is going to keep running.
Right.
Like that's when the consistency comes in. Like if you're not, and I think what's interesting, and I have found this, and I wrote down a quote for this one: what you focus on multiplies. Like if you're in a bad place or you're sad or something bad is going on and that's all you read about and that's all you think about and that's all you worry about, your brain doesn't have room for prosperity or real estate or happiness. It's just going to keep giving you more of that. And then if you, I mean, it's just even like when I had kids, if I am in a heavy kid thing, like we're doing a lot of school stuff or we're doing a lot of outside, like I can see when I get all in family versus when I'm all in real estate. And if you have to find a way to be focused on a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Even in a
perfect balance. There's no, perfectly even scales, and every day looks different. It's really tough. One thing I wrote down, I was listening to this, she's a health and fitness coach. Her name's Emily Goff, but she talked a lot about how momentum is so important when you're trying to stay consistent, and how momentum starts off really small.
Yes.
Like momentum is something that's small and grows and goes and goes and goes. And so whenever you're hitting that curveball, the question you need to ask yourself is like, what is the next thing?
Yeah.
Like, what is the first step I need to take? Maybe that first step is to just send one email out to all my clients just so they have heard from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just pick one thing, because what happens is people pick so many things that it would be impossible for anybody to accomplish that.
Yeah.
And they may do 7 of the 10 things, but then they just are self-loathing at themselves because they didn't do all 10. They did. Right. It kind of goes back to completed over perfect.
Yeah, like, done is better than perfect. Yeah,
done is better than
do
perfect.
Something.
Just do something. Yeah. Start small. Because the baby step, accomplishing that first little thing will make you want to do the next thing.
Well, because you're
like
in
an energy builder.
Yes, you're in a positive momentum instead of in a stagnant or a decline. You did one good thing, focus on that, do the next good thing. And then you're all of a sudden the train is rolling again. Like you're not stuck. Just keep going.
Even if it feels like you're not doing anything, you are. Just do one thing. Go back to what you need to do.
I wrote this quote down that goes perfectly with that. Consistent action creates consistent results. I mean, you just gotta, but action, not thinking about, although I do think thinking about it will help you. But you've got to actually do something. It doesn't have to be big.
Hello, friends.
Hi, y'all.
Our template course has launched.
It's out there.
And we have been getting some really positive feedback.
Yes, I have some great feedback I wanted to share with you guys. We had one purchaser say, thank you for these templates. As a new agent, I feel it would have taken me years to create these on my own.
That's awesome.
I know, it's so great. And then I had, these are so incredibly helpful. What a great investment. Thank you for your time and efforts putting these together. I think that you guys, this is the answer to saving yourself some time.
It helps you put systems in place. It keeps you professional. It keeps you consistent. It just makes everything run so much smoother.
So much smoother. You're never going to forget to tell somebody something.
No, because it's all there.
It's all there. And you're going to edit it to make it sound like your voice if you like, and it's going to be perfect for your business.
Yeah, so go check out our template course.
Yes.
At
hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Perfect.
Okay. Enjoy. Bye.
So I don't know if there's probably, I'm sure, an actual study out there somewhere, and this probably has like a name for it. But it's the idea that when people plan and say, okay, this happens a lot with New Year's resolutions. 2020, I'm going to, run 20 miles and I'm going to talk to 20 people and I'm going to write 20 letters and
Yep.
I'm going to do all these things. The planning of it makes you like get high off of it.
Yeah.
And you're like excited and it almost satisfies the urge
to actually do it
that you never do it.
Right.
So like it happens a lot in health and wellness, starting, how many times have we said Monday?
Yeah.
I'm going to work out 4 days a week and I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day. And then you never actually do it, but the planning of it was enough for your mindset.
Satisfied your urge.
It satisfied your urge, and then you never actually do it.
Well, I don't like that. How do we get over that?
Momentum.
Oh, well, there you go. Get one little thing done.
There were a few things that when they were like, okay, for example, during this downtime of COVID, I have been thinking like, what are some things I need to do differently?
Yeah.
But I found myself saying, I'm going to do these video email series and I'm going to get better at Instagram and
I'm
God, do this and that. And I'm going to not work on Thursdays and I'm going to, okay. That's great, Alissa. But
right.
You don't set yourself up for disappointment.
Yes. Yes.
And so there's a few things that they said you need to consider when making these plans.
Okay. Tell us.
Number 1, upfront energy.
Okay.
What is the upfront energy cost that I have to give to this plan?
Okay.
And do I have it?
Right. Do I have it to give?
The time and energy to work out 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And if I don't, if this is important to me, what needs to go so I can add? Okay. It's not all about just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Like, if this is really what's important to you, something's got to go because you don't have time. Right. So you have to be honest about your time.
I like it.
That's hard to do. So evaluate your energy. All right. Evaluate your time.
Okay. I'm taking notes. I like this.
Yeah. I was like, this is amazing. This is so good. Man, I wish I could read my handwriting.
Okay. Well, while you're looking at that and we're talking about evaluating and wanting to do all the things, I shared a post from Sarah Blakely this morning. Sarah Blakely is the delightful CEO owner of Spanx.
Okay.
Okay. And she has 4 kids and they're all pretty young. And she says, happy Monday. At the beginning of quarantine, my list of how I was going to spend my time was so long. Write a book, relearn guitar, organize the house, create photo albums of family highlights by year, invent something that will clean our oceans, teach the kids something new every day, etc., etc., etc. She says, by the way, that was part of my actual list. Like she wrote these things down. Anyway, reality hit hard, and now my goal is just to keep the children alive.
Great.
Hang in there to all in quarantine with small children, and to the rest, keeping yourself alive and well enough it is a goal during this time too. Like just it doesn't have to be all the things.
Right.
Like if you're in a season with a curveball, keep yourself alive and well, maybe that's a win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. Okay, can you read your notes now? No.
Well, some of it was, I'm just trying to, pick out the stuff that is good for what we're talking about. And
I wrote down support system, and we kind of touched on it already, and asked for help. And I feel like we almost blew by that. But a lot of us are not okay with asking for help, even from our spouse, even from our children. Like my kids are now doing the dishes and it's not really asking for help, but it sort of is. It's like, you know what? Y'all are all here making dishes 3 times, like so many more dishes. I can't even believe quarantine dishes are out of hand.
Yeah, we actually went to paper plates.
Stop. That's terrible.
Amazing. No, you need to do it. Next time you're at the grocery store, pick up a pack of 100 for like $3.
It's like I'm taking a break. Life. Well, look, there you go. When life throws you a curveball and you just can't keep up, maybe it's time to bring in the paper plates.
So the biggest thing that people, the biggest reason people cannot keep up with consistency is because the moment that they stumble one time, they quit.
This is the thing with diets.
Yes. This is so health and fitness related as well as business related. And the problem is, you can't go from 0% to 100%. It's just not going to work.
Well, you can't expect yourself to be functioning at 100% even on the best of days. I mean, that is an unrealistic expectation. So it goes back again to done is better than perfect. But like, if you are a perfectionist, and I totally get this, I struggle too, and you feel like you don't want to send out the postcard because it's not perfect. You don't want to make the social media post because it's not perfect. You don't want to call your past client because you're not sure what to say and you need to do a bunch of research before you call them. That's all crazy. Like, it's not necessary. Send a text and says, hey, hope you're doing okay. Guess what? Done. Make the social media post with no caption. Not that I think that's the best way to do it, but just do it. Like, and I think it will build the momentum. So exactly what you're talking about. Make one and you've got momentum. Make one phone call, make one text message.
So they were saying that mindset wise, it's also important to have the big picture. So let's just use diet because it's an easy analogy. But so say you're like, I'm gonna like not eat carbs, okay, or not eat sugar, whatever. Well, then lunch rolls around and you eat dessert. And you're like, well, I failed. So then at dinner, you're like, well, I already failed today, so I'm just going to eat whatever I want.
Yep.
But there's always going to be another choice.
Yeah.
So like, say you messed up at lunch, you have another opportunity at dinner.
Yeah.
And at dinner, you can say, well, I messed up at lunch, so I'm just going to mess up again and say, forget it. Or you're going to make a better choice.
Right.
And at the end of that day, maybe you don't feel so great. Even if you made a good choice at dinner, you still are like, I messed up at lunch. So the question is not how was your day, but the question will be how was your week?
Yes.
So what if you only messed up like 4 times in a week? Like that would be amazing. But if we're not looking at it that way, if we're so focused on the short-term failure of what you didn't do or did wrong.
Well, then you're just starting with negative momentum.
Yes. And you're going to go backwards.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to fall off the bandwagon harder than even before.
For sure. It reminds me of when my kids were very little, and I still have to remind myself about this today. It's the same exact principle. Children, especially little ones, like under 5, they eat differently every meal, right? Like one meal they eat a bunch, the next meal they eat nothing. Maybe 10 meals they eat hardly anything, and then all of a sudden my kid would be eating 3 sandwiches at one sitting, and they're 2 years old. And then I read it where it was like, you don't have to worry on each meal. You just need to look at the total of what they're eating in a week. So it's the same principle. Like, why we get overly focused on what's right in front of us, and we don't look at the big picture. And we're just like, oh, same thing. I failed on this meal. I can't go back to my diet now. It's all for naught. I'll have to wait till next Monday and start again. Like, that is just something we tell ourselves because we are putting too much pressure to be perfect.
Yeah. Another thing with consistency is that, like, say I'm like, okay, May 1st, quarantine's over. These are the things I want to implement. These are all new things.
Yeah.
And none of them have been developed into a habit yet.
Right.
Like,
the only habit I have right now is staying home.
Right. Like, how long did we even said that stat somewhere about how long it takes for something to become a habit? And if you're trying to implement like 5 new things, 10 new things after this quarantine, it takes like 90 days.
Some of them, I think it was like 260. It was like 260 days for a hard one. If it was like a hard one. Yeah.
And like, so then you like start and you don't finish and you don't do it. And it's because it was never a habit.
Yep. Yeah.
So maybe, do the bare necessities. Pick one thing. So you want to tell you what my one thing is going to be?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
My one thing that I want to implement, and I'm starting it during quarantine, I'm not waiting till May 1st, is every 2 weeks, I want my sellers to get a market update video from me.
Love it.
On their subdivision.
Love it.
Not like all of Baton Rouge, but like, hey, in Santa Maria, there's 3 new listings in the last 2 weeks. 2 of them are priced higher than us. 1 of them is priced lower. I saw this one over here went pending.
Yeah.
That kind of surprises me because I thought we would sell before this one. So maybe we need to reevaluate something that's personal and specific to them, and they can see my face and hear my voice.
Will you do it on a specific day?
I would like to do every other Monday.
Okay. I like it.
I have it on my calendar. I feel like I could do all listings within maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe less once I like get good and figure it out.
Well, and it doesn't have to be long.
No. I wanted each one to be under 5 minutes. It's more going to be getting the research done.
Yeah.
For each listing and knowing the data that I want to share.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's amazing.
Like the one thing that I really want to get better at.
Okay, I like it. I don't have a thing. I kind of do have a thing. I think I'm going to set like some more restrictive and held to business hours.
Okay.
Like these are the business hours, and it would be hard for me to say yes outside of those hours.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
Because right now I don't have to
report back.
Yeah, let's report back. That's what you also need, an accountability partner.
Like a real one.
Yeah.
Because when I was listening to notes on consistency, people are sometimes other people's nemesis?
No. It's sort of like a enabler. But
yes.
Right?
So like me and you say, hey, we're not going to ever eat sugar again.
Right.
And then we go eat sugar together and laugh about the fact that we said we're never going to eat sugar again.
Right. Or I'll be like, come on, eat that sugar.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you really need someone that, isn't going to put you down and shame you, but wants to encourage you and doesn't just laugh it off and say, oh, well, we tried.
Right. They want you to get back.
Partner.
Yeah. They want you to get back on the horse when you fall off. Yeah. For sure. Okay. Do you have anything else about, I think we need to also say that when you're having a curveball, you have to give yourself grace.
So I have that written down in 4 different ways.
Well, because that's the problem. We hold ourselves almost too accountable, I think. Like if you had an accountability partner, you know what I have found? Because I've been working with an accountability partner in the last few months before this too. And I have found it to be so helpful in that it'll be like, hey, this is where I failed. And we both failed. And we're trying to do different things. We're in different fields, so it's fine. But this is where I failed. And this is where I succeeded. And they celebrate your success and try to give you like some tips, or maybe just say, hey, try this with what you failed on, or let me know next week if you do that. And I think that just giving yourself grace is the hardest thing that we learn. Like we just can't figure out how to
it might be one of the hardest things in my life.
Yes.
That is like
so hard.
A big thing to say, but I am so hard on myself.
Yeah.
I don't really know how I'm making it. I don't know how, as hard as real estate is, I'm surprised with as much as I struggle with that I'm okay.
Yeah.
I guess I've just found ways to cope with it.
That's right. We're all
just
think
doing
the best we can.
This podcast has helped with that because
oh my God, so much.
It's allowed me to just put it out there. Like I'm not perfect. I'm up. There are things I wish I did that I don't do.
And now everyone knows. So there's nothing you have to hide from. You can just be good. You can be flawed. It's okay to be flawed. That's what nobody wants to be friends with someone who appears to be perfect anyway.
No. Oh, okay. Another thought.
Carry on.
Again, kind of back to diet and exercise, but let's put it in business perspective. So poor health. Poor health. Gaining lots of weight, health complications.
Yes.
Takes a lot of time.
Yes.
It takes a lot of time for the poor health to develop.
Yeah.
It's not like one day you're fine and the next day you wake up and you're not.
Right.
In this scenario.
Okay.
I know that there are things that could happen, but
right.
You could have a heart attack, but that's not what we're talking about. So a 21-day diet isn't going to fix it.
No.
Just like if your business, if your systems aren't in place and your database isn't organized and you have people not saved and so many things, you're not going to be able to fix it in like a week.
No.
It's going, and even if you're implementing the things that you said you would, it's going to take tweaking along the way. So I do have one more little thing.
Well, let's hear it.
So when I was listening to this coach talk, she said if you do 80% of what you say you're going to do, it's considered like master status.
Wow, no way.
only 80%. And here we all are striving for 100% perfection, or we're not going to do anything.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, that's a good point.
It's good to know that 80% gets you master status. I mean, that obviously, aim high, but give yourself grace whenever you don't make it all the way.
I think that's amazing. What a good and helpful tidbit that is.
Yeah. And that's from like a coach who's really hard on people saying that.
Right. I love it. That's really good. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to do the toast?
I would like to toast an agent in my office named Irene.
Love it.
And what I love about Irene is that she's just so positive, and she's a hard worker, and she's newer. I think she's been in the business a few years in my office, but she recently, during this quarantine, worked on finalizing her buyer and seller checklist and just getting some of her systems in place.
Yeah.
And she emailed it to me and a bunch of other people when she was finished and said, "Hey guys, I've just been working on this, and y'all helped me, and I just wanted to help y'all. So if y'all need this, I just wanted to share it."
That's so nice.
And I thought that's just the nicest thing. And the other thing I love about her is that, she loves dogs, and that's, I love that.
That's right.
But at the end of every closing, she asks her clients which charity they would like her to make a donation to.
Oh, that's nice.
And so every closing that she has, she donates $100 to charity.
Oh, wow. That's so great.
And then it's nice because she shares it on her social media saying like, "Hey, this client chose this charity, and this is what," and it's just neat.
Yeah, I love that.
I just love Irene.
Oh, and that's awesome. Good job, Irene.
Yeah, it's funny how this quarantine makes me like miss the office and makes me want to be there more.
Right,
after this.
Right. No kidding. I
miss my people.
I know. Well, cheers to Irene. She sounds like she's doing an awesome job.
Cheers, Irene. We love you.
Yay, love you. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast. Let us know who we should toast to for the next episode.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hustle Humbly Podcast. If you have an episode, topic, or question, please email us at hustlehumblypodcast@gmail.com.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next week. Bye.
This is the good life.